Hello, everyone. This is your host, Cora Dive, bringing you another foray into the world of mythology. Today, we are going to cover a crow myth from the peoples of North America. So, gather any materials that you need and let's get to it. Lodge Boy and Throwaway from the Crow People. The warrior knew his essential hunting trip would keep him from his pregnant wife for a long time. She was so close to giving birth, and he wanted to protect her in this world full of dangerous creatures and treacherous spirits. Before leaving, he warned her to stay in their lodge and not let anyone or anything inside. She agreed. But soon after he had gone, his wife heard a soft voice, like a child's or an old woman's, calling from the other side of the door flap. Surely, she thought, these would not pose a threat. Being a kind, trusting woman, she opened the door flap to let the stranger enter. What stepped through the door was not human. Although it had the form of a man, it was a monster named Doubleface, with a hideous face on the front side of its head and another on the back. When the warrior returned home, he was greeted by horror. Doubleface had murdered his wife, cut open her belly, and ripped their two children from her womb. The monster had thrown one child into the corner of the lodge, and while departing had tossed the other one in the spring. A soft crying from the corner of the lodge roused the warrior from his grief. It was his son, Lodge Boy. He had no idea that his other son even existed. "Now we are two," he said. Father and son began a new life, and Lodge Boy grew quickly. Each day the father would leave Lodge Boy alone in the lodge and return at evening. One night, Lodge Boy asked, "Father, will you make me two bows and two sets of arrows?" The father was confused as to why Lodge Boy asked for two. So the next evening, he returned home earlier than normal and found Lodge Boy playing with a wild beast-like child. "This is my friend Thrownaway," said Lodge Boy. "He lives in the spring, but I do not get too close to him because his teeth are sharp and he likes to bite." The father saw this boy needed a place to live, but he knew he would not come and live with them willingly. So, together, he and Lodge Boy pounced upon Thrownaway. The beastly boy scratched and howled, but they forced him to smell a powerful incense that turned him human, and he came to live with Lodge Boy and his father in their home. The father said, "Now we are three." The next morning the father departed again, saying, "You two can play anywhere you want, but do not go down to the bend of the river. There is an old woman there who boils children alive in her pot." When the father returned home, his two boys stood beaming at the lodge entrance, holding a pot between them. They had murdered the evil old woman by boiling her in her own pot. The next day, as the day before, their father departed, saying, "You two can play anywhere you want, but stay away from the three trees that form a triangle. They come to life and kill anyone who walks beneath them." When the father returned home, his two boys greeted him with arms full of branches. They had broken the arms of the deadly trees. And the next day after that, once again their father departed, saying, "You two can play anywhere you want, but stay away from the home of the man with the fiery moccasins. He puts on his moccasins and walks over his victims, burning them to death." When the father returned home, Thrown Away was wearing a pair of smoldering moccasins. They had taken the old man's moccasins and burned him into ash. This happened time and again until the twins came face with Double Face, the one who had murdered their mother. They killed the monster, and the twins' fame for making the world safer reached even the mighty Thunderbird, an eagle like beast who appeared to them in a rainstorm and summoned them to the sky, where they could help him defeat an evil otter that had been killing his children. When the twins returned from assisting Thunderbird, they realized that they had gained the wisdom to wake up their mother. They went to where she was buried and called out to her. She rose from the ground, rubbing her eyes. As they walked home together, hand in hand, she rubbed the dirt from her eyes. "Oh my, I have been sleeping for such a long time," she said, as they approached the lodge, where their father was waiting. "But now we are four." That is the end of the legend of Lodge Boy and Thrown Away. So what did you think of the boys? I really would be curious to find out how some of their other adventures, more details to it. But that will have to wait for another time. For now, this is your host, Cora Dive, signing off.